Hello everyone, my name is Dosblop and welcome back to the Smokey scale. Today I'll be reviewing and going over my thoughts on the latest entry in the biggest conglomerate franchise in the world, Pokémon Legends Z-A. This review will not include anything about its DLC, Mega Dimension, which was released in January 2026, and it will just be about the base game. Anyways, let's get into it. Pokémon Legends Z-A is a game that intrigued me from the moment it was revealed all the way back in February 2024. Announced using a CGI trailer set in a matrixified Lumiose City with no actual gameplay present, myself and many others got to know this game was set within the Kalos region, which were the regions explored in Pokémon X and Y on the 3DS back in 2013. Little did we know is that this game was quite literally only going to be set in an expanded version of Lumiose City, which was very interesting yet unfortunate news, and its setting wasn't even revealed until the following year in February 2025, where we finally got to see our first bit of gameplay surrounding the game, which also revealed the starters being Chikorita, Tepig, and Totodile. This did not excite me much because I had never even played Pokemon X and Y, with my main Pokemon experiences I grew up with being Pokemon Diamond and Pearl and Pokemon Black 2 White 2 for the original DS. I had absolutely zero experience with modern Pokemon titles despite the numerous videos I had made on them, but those past videos were really a cope, hoping I'd one day be able to experience one of those games. Genuinely, I did not expect to even play this game until I finally got a Nintendo Switch, with my foray into modern Pokemon being cynical based on the internet's finite and limited perspective on the games, like Scarlet and Violet being glitch-fest or Sword and Shield being boring and low effort. Legends Z-A being released after Scarlet and Violet did not raise my hopes any, but the trailers didn't really show a game that faltered at the expense of optimization. Around 2 weeks before launch, I decided I was going to pick it up, and I did. Now, not everything could be an innovation, and unfortunately asking a Pokemon game to do mostly everything different is even too much. But it's still good to see we're at a point where they are at least trying different things. It had been such a long time where Pokemon would very hardly experiment with features starting mostly with the 3D era. Sword and Shield just happened to be the tipping point by being the first main generation on the Nintendo Switch, where people expected it to be a huge step up from the 3DS titles considering it's on a console, just to land halfway and comparable to one of the 3DS games. Legends Z-A does certain things differently, besides being mainly open world as it should be considering it all takes place in a city. Pokemon battles are now completely real time. Instead of PP, moves now have cooldown times. Instead of having to wait for your opponent to lash out moves, you could just keep going as much as you want, and so can your opponent. Move animations are made to fit the new real-time system, and overall it makes for a much more snappy gameplay loop than the turn-based battles that have been in every Pokemon game prior. I particularly enjoy the new battle system because it allows me to snipe Pokemon from behind with my level 100 Bois and one-shot them within 2 seconds, which is personally much better than an in-game like BDSP, where I'd be waiting 20 seconds for that to happen instead. The rank system in Z-A that you're put on for the whole entirety of the main story is definitely an interesting attempt at doing something. It is a bit tedious towards the end, but even then, it still skips through half of them towards the middle section of the game, which I did see people complaining about, but considering how grindy the game wants to be, I think that's genuinely a saving grace that made getting through the story much more bearable. If there weren't other things to do in the game, I probably would hate it, but thankfully the game gives you over 100 side quests to complete, as well as a whole Pokédex and a whole collectathon. The collectathon being the Canary Screw collection, which these screws will let you unlock plushies that will raise the ability of certain things in the game, such as raising the player health or raising how much XP you get for doing anything. But ultimately, if you get all the screws, you get a huge Canary plushie in your hotel room that does absolutely nothing for you. And these screws aren't easy to find most of the time either, so while yes, they do help you early on, The last 40 or so screws just get you a forced cosmetic for a room you're only in if you decide to be in it. Mega Evolution works surprisingly different from how they did in the original X and Y. For example, Megas now work on Mega Energy, which recharges naturally, or by picking up Mega Crystals in battles. So with that, you can now Mega Evolve more than once in battle. I really enjoy the way they made Megas work, especially paired with level 100 Mons, where I could just one-shot everything that comes across me in battle. In terms of the visual choices, the game is probably the most okay looking Pokemon game on Switch. I wouldn't say it looks bad or good. There are bad things to look at, such as 99% of the buildings having flat surfaces with no actual infrastructure, and a lot of the character and Pokemon textures regressing from the detailed look on the models from Scarlet and Violet, but the game is not an eyesore at all. The art style is the same thing they've been trying to do since Sword and Shield and have failed each time they try. Cartoony mashed onto realism, although it's not as egregious as those games were. Everything looks poorly photoshopped in, especially in Sword and Shield. Z-A, I guess, does it the best, but it's not saying much. Again, it just looks okay, which is a bare minimum step up for bad. The music in Legends Z-A can get pretty repetitive when you have been playing it for a while. Lumiose City, despite that being the only area in the game that you can be in, only has 2 tracks, one for daytime and one for nighttime, and while they are wonderfully arranged being done by Insane in the Rain, they still get pretty stale concerning you're secluded to the one single city. Most of the battle themes are pretty good. I've seen people raving about Jacinth's, whatever her name is, battle theme, and all I could think of when hearing that is just old 2015 YouTuber remixes or parodies of games like Five Nights at Freddy's, genuinely inching towards the living tombstone in terms of genre, which I just do not enjoy at all. Overall though, Legends ZA is not a terrible game by any means. I enjoyed it a fair bit, and while it definitely had some shortcomings, the game was fun for what it offered. Would I say it's a necessary Pokemon title? No. Do you have to play it? No. But is it a fun game? Yeah. I think it's definitely deserving of a 6 to 70% on the Smokey scale. Anyways, that's about it. See ya.